I should have known better than to take that shortcut through the woods. It was a foolish decision, one that would haunt me for the rest of my life. The dense forest was eerily quiet, save for the crunching of leaves beneath my feet and the occasional hoot of an owl. Little did I know, something sinister lurked in the shadows, waiting to strike. As I trekked deeper into the woods, an uneasy feeling crept up my spine. It felt like I was being watched, but every time I turned around, there was nothing but trees and darkness. I quickened my pace, eager to leave this unsettling place behind. That's when I heard it, a faint rustling in the bushes nearby. My heart pounded in my chest as I froze, straining my ears for any other sound. Silence. Maybe it was just a small animal. I tried to convince myself, though deep down I knew better. I resumed my walk, but the feeling of being followed only intensified. Every snap of a twig or crunch of leaves made me jump. I could have sworn I heard heavy footsteps matching my own, but when I whirled around, there was nothing there. By the time I reached the edge of the woods, I was a nervous wreck. Relief washed over me as I stepped onto the familiar streets of my neighborhood. Whatever had been stalking me in the forest couldn't follow me here, right? Wrong. As I approached my house, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and a chill ran down my spine. That's when I saw it, a dark figure lurking in the shadows across the street. My breath caught in my throat as I struggled to make sense of what I was seeing. Was it just a trick of the light, or was there something truly sinister watching me? I blinked hard, but the figure remained, unmoving and menacing. Mustering all my courage, I hurried to my front door, fumbling with the keys. I could feel its eyes boring into me, watching my every move. As soon as I stepped inside, I slammed the door shut and locked it, leaning against it as if to barricade whatever was out there. For a while, everything seemed normal. I tried to convince myself that I had been imagining things, that the stress of the day had gotten to me. But deep down, I knew better. That feeling of being watched never went away. In the following days, strange things began to happen around the house. Doors would open and close on their own, and objects would mysteriously go missing, only to reappear in bizarre places. At first, I tried to rationalize it, but the occurrences became too frequent and too unsettling to ignore. One night, as I lay in bed, I heard a sound that chilled me to the bone. The unmistakable creak of a floorboard in the hallway outside my room. I held my breath, listening intently, but there was nothing else. Just as I was about to convince myself it was my imagination, I saw a dark shadow pass by the crack under my door. In a panic, I scrambled out of bed and flicked on the light, but there was nothing there, no sign of any intruder, no explanation for the shadow I had seen. I spent the rest of the night huddled in the corner, too terrified to sleep. The following morning, I decided to take action. I couldn't live like this, constantly haunted by an unseen presence. I called the police, but When they arrived, there was no evidence of any break-in or disturbance. They chalked it up to an overactive imagination and left me feeling more alone and helpless than ever. As the days dragged on, the activity in the house intensified. Strange scratching noises would emanate from the walls, and objects would be flung across rooms for no apparent reason. I was slowly losing my mind, consumed by the fear of the unknown entity that had taken up residence in my home. One night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I heard a sound that made my blood run cold. A deep, guttural growl coming from the closet. I froze, too terrified to move, as the growling grew louder and more menacing. Suddenly, the closet door flew open, and a dark, shadowy figure emerged, towering over me. I screamed until my throat was raw, but no one came to my aid. The figure advanced towards me, its form shifting and contorting in ways that defied logic. I cowered in the corner, tears streaming down my face. As it loomed over me, its putrid breath hot on my skin. Just when I thought it was going to strike, it recoiled, as if repelled by some unseen force. I watched in horror as it retreated back into the closet, the door slamming shut behind it. For the rest of the night, I huddled on the floor, too terrified to move or even breathe. The next morning, I knew I couldn't stay in that house any longer. Whatever that thing was, it had followed me home from the woods, and now it had made itself at home in my sanctuary. I packed a few essentials and fled, not even bothering to lock the door behind me. I spent the next few weeks drifting from one friend's couch to another, too afraid to find a permanent residence. Every night, I would wake up in a cold sweat, haunted by the memory of that shadowy figure and its menacing presence. Eventually, I decided to seek help from an unlikely source, a local psychic who claimed to have experience with paranormal entities. At first, I was skeptical, but desperation had driven me to try anything to rid myself of this torment. The psychic listened intently as I recounted my terrifying ordeal. When I finished, she had a grave look on her face. "What you encountered is an ancient evil," she said, her voice somber. "A dark entity that feeds on fear and torment. It latched onto you in those woods and followed you home, drawn to the safety and sanctity of your dwelling." I felt a chill run down my spine as she continued. "This entity is relentless and will stop at nothing to consume your very soul. It thrives on your terror and grows stronger with each passing day." Despite the gravity of her words, there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "However, there is a way to banish it," she said. "It will require a powerful ritual and unwavering courage, but it can be done." Over the next few days, the psychic guided me through a series of ancient rituals and incantations. The process was grueling, both mentally and physically, but I was determined to rid myself of this nightmare once and for all. On the last night, We did the big ritual to make it go away. The psychic said strange words in an old language. Then a scary dark shadow came out. It moved around and screamed loudly like it was in pain. With one final big scream, it disappeared into nothing. I felt relief, but also sadness, because that thing had really hurt me inside, even though it was finally gone.